I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Take my hat off.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Donnie.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
Letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. Entered to win it for the long haul, baby. It's Black History Month, February the 13th. Super Bowl was yesterday. I hope that you are in recovery mode. It's time to get down with the get down. I want to first take a moment and pause and say, thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you, Lord, for the roof over our heads, the food on our table, the dollar in our pocket. May we all strive to be better people and help those less fortunate. Today's guest, amen. Today's guest is no stranger to these airwaves. He's no stranger to the greater Baltimore, the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. He is an icon. He has been entertaining us and keeping us rooted, grounded with some good music. He refuses to play foolishness. He refuses to be a part of the foolishness. Instead, he's worked his entire career, some 37 and a half years in radio, to uplift us, to encourage us, to empower us. I worked in the same space about 21 years with him. Very kind, as accomplished as he is. He's one of the meekest people that I've ever met. Without further ado, the one and only Konan.
Good morning. How you feeling, my brother?
My man. There we go. It's showtime. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, I predicted what was going to happen yesterday in the big game, and it happened. So people got to come see me, and a few already did. But hey, it was a good night.
Okay. How did you know the winner?
Because it was nobody understood that it was the Andy Reid Bowl. It wasn't the Philly or Kansas City Bowl. It was the Andy Reid Bowl. And they weren't gonna let Andy Reid not take this one home. Philly let him go. He's been in Kansas City ever since, and both teams were teams he was with for the long haul. And with the young Patrick Mahomes, who lost to Brady and lost to a couple other quarterbacks that had been there before, so it was his turn.
Okay. You know a little bit about sports, they tell me.
Yeah, a little something. I mean, I played in high school, I played in college, and did a little something. So
this lady, Her name is Miss Vesta. She says she knows something about sports too.
Yeah, that's my mama. My mama does know something about sports. She know how to shoot the pill. She played basketball. She was pretty nice with it. Yeah.
So does that mean she taught you how to play?
Well, she kept me around the playground. So she worked in Parks and Rec. So she kept me around the playground. They don't have that ability nowadays, but the playground is where you learn a lot of stuff. You learn how to play pool, you learn how to play ping pong, you learn how to play chess, you learn how to play checkers, you learn how to play basketball, kickball, all that stuff. They don't do all that running outside and playing like we played when we was growing up, though.
Now, you grew up in Washington, D.C.
Yes, sir.
Chocolate City.
Chocolate City. It's not Chocolate City anymore. It's gentrified city now.
Man, I saw the picture of the white guy walking his dog on the campus of Howard University. Them people about to go crazy over there.
Yeah, absolutely. But they think it's their right. So, you know.
Speaking of dogs.
You said something about dogs. Now my dog want to chime in.
And Pharaoh is on his way. You know, something about dog people, man. Tell me about dog people.
Well, first of all, I mean, dog is will teach you unconditional love. If you're a person that hasn't experienced that, or somebody that needs unconditional love or needs to learn how to be loving to someone, a dog will teach you that no matter what. You can walk out the house and be out the house for 5 minutes, come back in, your dog gonna act like they ain't seen you all day long, wagging their tail, wanting to jump on you, wanting to get a pat from you or a hug or whatever, you know. So the thing is with dogs, and they're protective. Even if you got a dog that's scared of everything, if somebody walk up on you wrong, the dog will know. The dog will shut that down. So, you know, I mean, but loving dogs is still get in between y'all, and if something goes wrong, then the dog is gonna handle that. You don't have to do too much. Dogs, they teach unconditional love, like I said.
So I'm reading up on you online. It says that you've been in radio. Man, you've been in radio longer than a lot of people been alive. 37 years, man. How did that all start?
Yeah, going on 38. I did this program called Reading is Fundamental. And with Reading is Fundamental, I ended up reading to some kids, myself and Kathy Hughes. We were both reading at this place called Heck and Jamal. And the thing is that this young lady walked up to me, beautiful young lady. I thought she was going to say something, and she looked down, and her kid said, "Mr. Konan, thank you for coming to read to us." And he hugged me around my leg, and the energy that I felt is just a surge of energy, no joke, went from my thigh where he hugged me at up to my heart. And I was just like, wow. I was like, I can make this type of impact. And that's what I was thinking. I said to Miss Hughes, I said, you know, I want to do this for the rest of my life. She said, you will if you believe it. And she turned around and walked away. And I've been doing it ever since. But that's how I ended up being this long, because the impact I made on that little kid changed my life. And I never forget it.
How did it change your life?
Because he made me find my purpose and something that I wanted to do. And I wanted to impact the people where I came from and get my butt out of the street and focus on something positive. And that's been my focus ever since. Just reaching back and helping the kids and, you know, doing something positive. That's it. I don't deal with negative stuff or none of that.
I'll never forget the time I saw you doing a celebrity basketball game, and I saw you coming down the court running point guard, and I said to myself, this is a ball player. You know, you see some cats on the court, you know, you're like, they don't play, but you were coming down the court. I'm like, is that Konan? You were running the point.
Yeah.
Like you belong there, man.
I had fun. I mean, but that's how I got to school. I wasn't the super smart guy. I was smart enough to keep my grades so I could play sports. But yeah, I got into school because I played ball. I played in the Delphi League. I played in the Urban Coalition. I played in a bunch of different leagues around the state. And somehow Harold Bates was his name. Harold Bates, who ran the Urban Coalition, sent my tapes out to colleges, and that's what got me in, because I wasn't recruited from high school, but I was recruited from my tape.
And then you went on to play college ball.
Yes, I did. And my mom actually sent me over to, before I went away to college, my mom sent me to the Georgetown camp to play with the guys over there, because she had some relationships, and play with Ed Spriggs, Sleepy Floyd. That was before Patrick Hume was there. A bunch of those guys came back to play. A bunch of the pros that were there came back to play. Craig Shelton came back to play with us. All those guys. Me and Charles Smith used to always go play together in Hyattsville. He ended up playing for the Boston Celtics. So, yeah, it was. I've been around a bunch of ball players, man. So it was a blessing. Wingate was there. Reggie Williams was there. Bunch of guys.
1983. I'll never forget that year.
Yeah, so I played with all those guys before I went away to college. So it kind of sharpened my game up.
Of course, you playing with some Dunbar poets.
Right. Exactly. That's what it was.
A lot of people don't know that there's a DC. A lot of people in Baltimore don't realize there's a DC Dunbar that's actually older than the Dunbar here.
And that's where my dad went. My dad went to Dunbar, and that's where I played in the Urban Coalition.
And the rumor is you would practice all day, every day,
all day, all night. Turn the lights on and practice. Yeah. So I played.
What was that about?
I don't know. I was just determined to be good at what. If I do something, I just want to be good at it. I don't want to just do it. I mean, anybody can just do some of the stuff, but you can't. You gotta be good at something. So I'm not one of those people that can digest losing. So I don't like losing. I'd rather win at something, or at least give it my best shot and know that I gave my best shot than to halfway do it and end up losing. So my first shot at going out for something, I want to end up being a starter. I never sat on the bench. Never sat on the bench. Even when I was 10 years old, I started on 12 and older, and I've never sat on the bench. I just can't do it. And basketball, doing that helped me win the dribble and shoot contest 3 years consecutively. And in DC, I played in the Capitol Center. And the third year they let me participate because I had won it 2 years prior to that. We would play during halftime of the Bullets game. The top two people from around Maryland, from the state of Maryland. So I had beat everybody in my region. So then after that, you go to the Capitol Center. And I did that. So third year, there's like, nah, not again. Not the same person.
I want to shift gears a bit. You also, and we're going to get back to Miss H, Kathy Hughes.
Okay.
But one of the things that, as you well know, we push you on this show is Black business.
Uh-huh.
You are a serial entrepreneur, unbeknownst to a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I love taking a chance at doing business. I had a couple of clubs, had a couple of restaurants, had a hair salon, and entertainment business. My sister ran my hair salon. Well, my sister ran just about everything I've done. So Rokia. I had a hair salon called the Hair Safari in Bladensburg, Maryland, which is funny because the guy that owns Safari helped me with the Hair Safari. He put the did my foam palm trees and stuff at the Hair Safari, which was in Bladensburg, Maryland. Also had Big Daddy's, which was on Security Boulevard. Then from that, Loafers, just a couple of different businesses. You know, you got one life to live, so you got to try what you can try and enjoy it as you go.
And didn't you also have an office building or apartment building or something? That's one of the first things I remember you telling me about.
I had that on McCullough Street. 1808 McCullough Street. Right next to, as a matter of fact, I lived 2 doors. That building, I had that building that was 2 doors up from Vern Jones. Vern Jones used to live on the same block. And that was over in Sandtown. They moved the office of they moved the office from the middle of the block up to the corner of the block on Gold. But before it was there, it was in the middle of the block. I was right across the street from the office that was run by what was his name? I can't remember. Yeah, Elijah Cummings had it, but after that, it was another guy. But yeah, so I had that apartment building, and I did some stuff for low income housing and regular people, you know. But I had, it was mixed use, so I made sure I gave people a place to live.
What advice would you give to people in business?
Right now, just stay focused. I mean, you gotta watch your bottom line. That's the main thing, because with interest rates and the economy right now, interest rates are up and down. And you know, I haven't checked them this morning, but I check the interest rates every day. So you got to make sure that if you're doing business right now, especially if you have a mortgage or something, then yeah, you got to watch those interest rates, because that'll jump your mortgage if you're not in the fixed rate. So, and watch your bottom line, because people, I mean, everybody's always going to take from you. Just don't let them take more than you're making. If you're working, especially if you're working in a bar and restaurant, they're giving drinks to their friends, they're giving food to their family. They, you know, seafood, you never give your people free seafood, but you can give them fries, burgers, and stuff like that. But you got to always watch your bottom line.
I worked in a restaurant, man, and I learned that theft was one of the biggest killers of a business.
Absolutely, especially a black business, because I mean, things just happen differently in the black business, and the credit lines are not there for the black businesses as they are for other businesses. Even if you got the same amount of business credit or score or any of that, the credit lines are very different.
Now you say you check interest rates every day.
Every day. Interest rates, gold, and I check the gold prices every day, interest rates on housing every day, and most, not all the time, but I also check on the lithium, the price of lithium in the back, because right now I do have a lithium stock, and the lithium is going to be one of the number one stocks for all these electric cars in the near future. Lithium is the only thing that they're using. That's why they're in the Congo right now, because they're taking all the lithium out of the Congo. Congo has more lithium than any other place on the planet right now. But I mean, that's just things I keep up with. I mean, everybody should keep up with them, but people aren't thinking the same way I'm thinking, and I don't fault them for that, because we only know what we know.
You're also big on reading contracts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You got to do that, because listen, the details are important in the small fine print. The small fine print to get you every time. You get me once. That's it. You get me once, I'm going to pay attention after that.
Well, I know you do. Have you been following some of the developments in other countries? Any country in particular besides Congo?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and in Africa, period. That's where most of our natural resources come from. But as far as oil reserves, Venezuela is number one in the world for oil reserves, oil deposits, and they have always been number one. Right now, China is number one of the number one manufacturers, but they buy up in every city. They buy up a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't know China owns a whole lot of stuff in the United States. So no matter what they say about China, I mean, back in the early, was it 90s, might have been 80s or 90s, they bought the Empire State Building. So they own a lot of stuff over here, as well as Saudi Arabia.
China been clowning lately. China been sending these balloons over. They tell me one during Biden a couple of weeks ago, 4 during President Trump. These balloons that travel over, taking pictures of our country. Does a China, Asian invasion come on your radar screen?
Well, I don't see an invasion, but I see what they're working on is trying to find out things that are happening over here that they know they can do better at. Right now, it's the BRICS, and China's involved in going to crypto digital gold standard, and that's part of what's going on. And the U.S. should let everybody know that that's what's happening right now. And the BRICS is BRICS. If you look that up, you'll see what that's all about. And that's Brazil. The letters stand for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I think it's Singapore or Spain. It's no, South Africa. It's one of them. One of the S is one of the other countries. I forget which one, but
South Africa.
They've all combined together, and they're gonna switch up on American dollar.
Brazil, India, China, Russia, South Africa.
Right. So, and that's been going on for a while, and that's why they keep trying to throw stuff at China, because China is going to be one of the main people to push the agenda on that, and that's going to be the end of the Federal Reserve note as we know it.
So these countries, one thing in the United States, we are not up on international affairs. By the time we get to it, we're late. We're late to the ball. We're geographically isolated, and so we tend as Americans just to look at North America, and that's everything we look at right there, North America, and that's it. We don't pay attention to Europe, to Africa, to Asia.
Well, some people don't. Me and my myself and some of my people that I talk to during the day, throughout the day, in the AM, we talk about some of these things because we have to be. We're privy to some information, but we got to be up on it, because when they flip the switch, you got to know ahead of time to get your money out the bank. You got to know ahead of time to make sure you buy gold. You got to know ahead of time to make sure that your investments are in the right place. So when the market moves, that you have gains instead of losses. And I don't talk to a lot of people about a lot of this stuff, because sometimes people that don't know what they don't know, they look at you like you got two heads and think you don't know what you're talking about unless they Google it and can see it for themselves, then they're like, oh, okay, he might have something there because I just Googled bricks and I can see, or I just Googled this and I can see it. So sometimes it's best to move in silence and be quiet, because you don't want people looking at you like you're crazy or thinking that you have no idea about what you're talking about just because you do radio.
I totally agree. Now, you're also big on getting people of color to be more intelligent about our spending. I remember you telling me so many things as it relates to consumerism. One thing is that we as a people are considered top users, super users. So that means that any holiday that comes about, nobody outspends us. Even St. Patrick's Day. And for the life of me, I can't figure it out. How in the hell we are the top consumer on St. Patrick's Day? What's that all about, Konan?
Well, I think one of the things is we want to be first approved now that we have the opportunity to have these available monies that we get. We want to prove that we can get what we want, and instead of strategically saying, okay, I'm going to invest here, I'm going to put some money here, we want to prove, because they said we couldn't have it, we want to buy it. So now they use reverse psychology on Christmas and all these other big holidays, saying that these people are not able to do this and able to do that. So it drives us to prove that we can do it, I believe. And sometimes, it's ego, but I think that if we were ever able to pull together, we could change and shift the economy back to what you've always talked about, the Black Wall Streets, and owning our own banks, owning our own businesses, owning our own blocks, owning our own stuff. Because we spend trillions during Christmas and billions on other holidays within a short amount of time. Like Valentine's Day is coming up. So everybody's going to spend and prove that they can do something. I mean, if you love your lady, or you and your lady are cool, I mean, it shouldn't take the Valentine's Day for her to get no roses, or for her to get some candy, or for her to get some love. And it shouldn't take that from the lady to the man either. But we spend because we want to prove something. And yeah, we've been held down for a long time on purpose. So it's understandable, but we have to get more intelligent about our spending. We got to get financially literate instead of illiterate, and just throwing money at stuff that's not going to have any value.
How come I don't see you in Louis Vuitton gear, man? How come I don't see you wearing Gucci stuff?
Because they don't want us in it. And I mean, you can all the people that do have all that stuff, unfortunately, and not all of them, I'm just saying some of them. And if they get mad, then I'm talking to them. They still living at home with their mother. They still living, basically, they don't have no bills. They don't have no real responsibility. And if you see them with the Balenciagas and all this stuff, they don't have over $100,000 in the bank, unfortunately. And I'm not saying all, I'm just saying some.
I remember you telling me that you shopped at Target.
I do. I shop at Target. I shop at Walmart. My mother raised us going to thrift stores and some other stuff. I mean, and so my dog always want to be a part of the conversation. But the thing is that there's no need for me to have to spend that kind of money to look nice. I'm not spending on these companies that didn't design their clothes for me to be a part of. I mean, people forgot Karl Kani started the fashion wave in the Black community. It wasn't FUBU. Karl Kani was one of the first people to design clothes and say, this is for us. The only thing I didn't like about Karl is that he put his name across every single every single shirt that he had, and he put his name real big on it. FUBU kind of did the same thing, but they made money and made clothes for us.
I had a pair of called Konan boots, man. I just
Oh,
threw
yeah.
them damn things away. They were from the 90s. I love them boots, man. But you're right. You had that big old name across.
Exactly. So a lot of that stuff was before their time, and people forget them. People didn't support them like they support the funny thing is that if somebody tells us we can't have it, people that are not financially smart, if Polo says, I don't want you wearing my gear, or Timberland says, I don't want you wearing my gear, we go out and buy more of it. Instead of saying, you know what, you don't want us to wear it, cool, we gone. We gonna leave it alone. Right now, Adidas is realizing they made a mistake, even though Kanye went on his rant. Adidas is realizing they made a mistake with Kanye. They said they're on pace right now because of not dealing with Kanye. They're on pace to lose $1.3 billion. You can Google that right now and see that's their report from last week or over the weekend. I forgot when it was, but all that type of stuff I keep up on. So I keep up on the money, where the money's going, where the money's being spent, how the money's being used. So $1.3 billion, and you thought that getting rid of Kanye was going to be the answer. And then you realize that, God dang, he was bringing us money. Actually, we stand to lose. Right now, they got 530 something million that I think they've lost so far, but they're on pace to lose 1.3 billion.
Now you've met everybody in the music industry, and one of my favorite stories is you telling me about meeting Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones was, I would say, one of the highlights of my career because he brought Tamia to the studio to have her interview when she came from Canada. And Miss Hughes brought them into the studio. I'm sitting down talking to he and Tamia. So I'm interviewing Tamia, and he had just released an album called Juke Joint. And since he's sitting there, I said, why not? I started asking him questions about the Juke Joint and him having his son Q on there and just some of the songs and stuff that he had. And I never forget, I was fine interviewing him and Tamia. And just as we were getting ready to wrap up, Miss Hughes came back in the studio, and I never forget him saying, keep this young man. He's going to do something in this industry. He's going to be a star in this industry or something like that. I started sweating and got nervous because he said that. I was like, man, this guy, he gave me a compliment. Now I got to live up to it. So that made me nervous. I mean, I think I showed you the picture or sent you the picture before.
I've seen that picture. I remember a story also about Michael Jackson.
Yes. But Mike, I was in the same room, but Mike was such a superstar. His security never really let people get too close to him. But one of the things about Mike is I realized early on, Dick Gregory pointed out to me when Dick and I used to talk, is that Mike was a genius and nobody understood the level of genius that Mike had. And we all have a level of genius in us. We got that genius gene in us, but Mike had done something that nobody had ever done before. And
what's that, Konan? What's that? Come on, you always got some interesting facts. What did Michael Jackson do that nobody else did before?
He bought half of Sony, and Sony didn't know it. When he bought the Beatles catalogs and all these other things, they were sleeping on Mike and didn't know. And Dick had told me that Mike was one of the first people to have a license to go into outer space because in the near future that was going to be a thing. He said and everybody laughed at Mike. He said, but that's why Mike, and this was Dick Gregory said. Now I'm quoting what he told me. He said Mike sleeps in a bubble because he is preparing for space travel. And I was like, this guy is crazy. This is what I'm thinking to myself. This guy is crazy. I'm listening to him though, but here we are in the age now.
Elon Musk,
right? Well, not just Elon. Richard Branson, Bezos, and all these people have space programs, and they have already put in their work to go into outer space. Now, if you notice, they're talking more about all these other planets, the moon having lakes and oceans and different things on it. They found a pyramid from back in the day. It's just a lot. It's a lot. So,
who was your favorite? Well, tell me one or two of your favorite celebrity meets. I mean, you used to drive Wendy Williams around. I understand that you drove Wendy Williams to her first TV interview where she was auditioning.
I drove her to her first radio event in New York when she auditioned for Hot 103. We were both on WOL, and she kept saying she was going to audition for this station. And at the time, when she got off, we drove to New York. I stayed in my car and hung out in New York overnight. And well, we went past her parents' house first. They live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And when we left there, she went and auditioned. She did the overnight shift from 12 to 6 in the morning. And we drove back so she could be on the air by 10 o'clock. You know, so yeah, I drove her up, and that was one of the things. I mean, she never forgot it. When she finally did well, she invited me up to New York, and you know, we went to her place, and she had a hat box. The hat box was full of money. She's like, I made it, I did it. And she'd been in New York ever since.
Tell me another celebrity you met that made an impression on you.
Jay-Z. I was with Reggie Reg now. We're together. And it was funny.
I went to elementary school with Reggie Reg. He went to Matthew Henson, school number 29. I still remember the green parka he used to wear. Reggie Reg. Come on back, Cole. So if you just joined us, we are talking with the one and only Konan. Looked like we had a little technical challenge there. But nonetheless, this man has been making an impact in the industry for some time. And right here in Baltimore, he's a big fan of Kathy Hughes. And, you know, that he is one person that Kathy Hughes kind of, you know, embraced and brought him into the fold, going back to our early days in Washington, D.C., and he has never changed. And what I appreciate the most about Konan is that in light of all of the people he's met and interviewed and interacted with, he's remained the same person. Big on business, big on entrepreneurship, big on owning, not big on buying designer stuff. And that's what I think we need to hear as a people. Our income, we got to save it and stop sending so much out. So what we're going to do, we're going to go with the radio.
I don't know what happened. I'm trying to log back on.
Okay. Well, we'll be right here. Take your time.
What happened?
I don't know. Just come back in. Hit the link. Hit the link again.
All right.
Okay. But I appreciate someone in the entertainment industry who has access to a lot of people sharing some intelligence. Everything's not a party. We love the party. Nobody likes the party more than we. We love the party, but the challenge is, are we handling business? Are we owning anything? You know, we got young brothers, young sisters on the corner, and they say, "This is my block." But do you actually have a deed? Do we own anything? Or are we just renters? And not just where we live, but are we, controlling our own destiny? We have $1.6 trillion in annual disposable income. $1.6 trillion. That is at least among the 16 highest, biggest economies on earth. 1.5, $1.6 trillion. That is a lot of money. Black women control a lot of it. And if anything on this show, what we try to push is controlling our money. Black women control, I would imagine, over half of those dollars, maybe 2/3. Are we using it to build? That's why we push the Black Wall Street Awards, to encourage us to have businesses so that we can start spending some of that $1.6 trillion at home. Charity starts at home. We are so quick as a people to support this brand and that brand, brands that mean nothing to our community, instead of recirculating that dollar in our community 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 7 times before that dollar even thinks about leaving. And a lot of people have suggested over the years that integration is something that has killed that. We were so busy after the 68 riots. Our goal was to get out of the community. Move from West Baltimore to Randallstown. I get it. Move from Washington, D.C. to Prince George's County. I get it. But in the process of these great migrations, are we owning anything? When I go out Randallstown and I see Black people lined up around the block to go to Hip Hop Fried Chicken owned by some non-Black people, considering that we make some of the best fried chicken ever in the history of mankind. Why in the world are we getting this chicken from hip hop? Because it's good. Because it's good. That's why we get it. I want to tell you, this show, this Emmy-nominated show, we find out in mid-May, is on from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. And so if you are a friend of mine, like these 3 people that just called, how did you forget that our show is on right now? So maybe we have to catch up with Konan a little later, but it's really good to have someone of his ilk and caliber on this network. We want to bring you intelligence every single day. We want to bring you people who help us to think, help us to navigate these surroundings. We are in a 30% Black state. Baltimore is a 63% Black city. Baltimore has one of the highest percentages of Black elected officials in the nation. However, if this Black political power is not translated into Black economic power, if it's only in place to benefit white power, the power of rich white people, then what's the damn point? A lot of people push on us. Oh, you got to vote. Oh, you got to vote. Let me tell you something. Yeah, you got to vote, but you got to vote for people who are going to help your community. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. Baltimore's 9-1 Democrat. Baltimore City is 9-1 Democrat. 9-1 Democrat. It's shoved down our throats. The election now, vote for the Democrats. It's almost assumed. It's almost presumed. We presume that you're going to vote. If you're Black, you're going to vote for the Democrats. And this is not at all a plug for the Republican Party or the racists or the people like that. However, we have to vote for people who are going to help benefit our community. When I look at Coppin and the expansion of Coppin into what looks like a legitimate university, beginning with President Dr. Calvin Burnett, Coppin now looks legitimate, certified institution of higher learning, but it took a Republican, Robert Early, whom one of my elders called a spear thrower for Newt Gingrich. It took a Republican to put money in the coffin. So I'm not one to fall for the okie doke. Wrong one. Wrong person. When I look around the city of Baltimore under Hogan, Project Core, knocked down vacants that have been standing there for years. For years. Decades. Why did it take a Republican to do some common sense stuff in Baltimore City, 9-1 Democrat, that were we incapable of doing it? Are we on the short bus, the yellow bus? Are we retarded? Can we not think for ourselves? Can we not look at, okay, this new school construction, what do they call it, 21st century schools? I'm all for new schools, but I like new schools in my neighborhood. Why new schools got to be all the way over there? Why can't they be right here? Our own elected officials told me, oh, Donnie, we can't put it in your neighborhood because the population has gone down. Black politicians have told me some real foolishness. We can't help Sandtown. Then why do I want to vote for you? Why would I vote for somebody who's not going to help my community? And why does it take a Republican to come to my neighborhood and say, that is a problem. Let's see what we can do. There's always a trade-off. But at least we're getting something. What's the trade-off with Democrats? We feel good. We got a good feeling. We got a black president. We feel good. We got a black governor. We feel good. Damn that. BWI Airport. BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport. I'll never forget the interview. I was interviewing the late delegate, Emmett Burns. They were renaming the airport BWI Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall being the first black Supreme Court justice. Ketanji being the second, because Clarence Thomas ain't black. Everybody was excited about the name change. At the same time, there was a $1.8 billion expansion of BWI Airport. And I said to Delegate Burns, I don't care what you name it. You could call it KKK International. Give our businesses some of that $1.8 billion in expansion contracts. $1.8 billion. You know what that means? If a black construction company, commercial, mahogany, you know what happens if they get some of that, get those contracts? They can hire black people because black businesses hire black people at the highest rate ever. It's like Latinos hire Latinos, whites hire whites, blacks hire blacks. Martin O'Malley got it. I'm probably the biggest critic of Martin O'Malley. But he knew in order to prosper in a 63% black city, he had to help empower the business class. Brilliant. As a matter of fact, he pushed MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, like nobody else. Early took a page out that same book and did so on a statewide level, and O'Malley got there. And I just tell you this, we don't hear about MBE much anymore. I do know that Governor Moore said to the Board of Public Works, that's the governor, the treasurer, and who else? Governor, the treasurer, one other person, that minority business enterprise, and I hate the term because I ain't a damn minority, that minority business enterprise will be an important part, a key factor in his administration, making sure that we meet these state numbers, 29%. We never meet the numbers. We're always down around 1 to 2%. Now, I'm not at all putting all of this on the first black governor to get us to 29%. Hell, we down at 1 to 2%. If we get to 10%, that'll be good. Who really benefits on the minority business enterprise, believe it or not, are white women who are often fronts for white men. It's a name change, a game change, and we're moving this around. So come on back, Cole.
Yes, sir.
I was talking about business, about economics, about how we as a people, we get exploited for our politics. Our politics too often don't translate into economic empowerment. How do we change that?
Well, we got to pay attention. We got to show up. We got to sit at the table. A lot of times when they have these city council meetings, people don't even know when the city council meetings are. People don't know what's going on. They don't know what budgets and what things they're doing. Some people didn't. I was telling some people that they talking about. Nick was talking about doing $1 houses again, but you got to have the funding to prove that you can rehab a house and put the house back together and clean up the block. And I mean, a lot of people just don't know. We're just not getting into politics. We don't believe that there's a way to fix the system, but we the people are the politics. We make it happen. We put those people in office. We get to choose and say what we want, but we have to do it together. It's just like showing up to court. If you show up to court with a group of people and walk into a courtroom where you feel like you're being treated unjustly.
Yeah, we got to do it together. We got to do this together. We got to work together. There was a time in the Black community where the Black politician, the Black church, the Black business community, the Black activists, they formed a fist. We were all working together as one. But now we've become increasingly individualistic. Where it's all about ourselves. You there? Can you hear us, Cole?
Maybe what we're talking about is too powerful.
All right. Well.
The internet don't want us to talk about anything to empower each other. They said it's too powerful right here. We gotta throw some glitches in here, some gremlins up in here to mess with the internet connection or something.
We didn't even get heavy yet, Cole.
We heavy enough for the powers to be. You start moving people you start moving the needle to the go position instead of a stalemate position or a caution position where you got to pause and y'all stay where you at. You start talking about empowering people and moving people to positive thinking. Yeah, that's a different energy.
What would you have people know? How about this? Say you were the president right now. Say you, damn, they cut us again. Well, we just gonna have to do this another time. But I think you get the gist. We got to be smart. We got to put people in office. Big ups to Quentin and Megan Lathan. They opened up a new business. Beauty Plus moved out. They have a new location over in the Northwood Commons. Also there's a new bakery. You can go to bemorenews.com, of course, for some of these details. What's the new bakery? Bear with me a second. New bakery. Come on, Grandma. I heard Konan come back. There you go.
You see, as soon as you say you're the president, say if you was the president, you see exactly what happened. Click up, off. I might do something one day in politics because I believe that there's sometimes got to be a changing of the guard.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because if you keep doing it, if you get the same you get the same results if you keep doing the same thing. If you keep putting the same people in position that don't get it, they never gonna get it. And we the people have the power within us, invested in us through the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and these other articles that we don't know about to move the needle or change the narrative. We just got to want to do it.
Did I just hear you say that you might be looking at politics?
Yeah, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. One day, who knows? I mean, we all capable of doing things and making changes. Sometimes you got to be a changing of the guard.
Politics is a mean world. It's ugly. It's uglier than the dope game, man. Politics is cruddy. People don't know politics controls the dope game and every other game. Politics controls everything.
Well, Reaganomics knows that. Oliver North knows that. You know, the Clintons know that. A lot of people that came through that vicious cycle know that. They know what's going on right now. There's 18,000 homes in the Baltimore area is going in foreclosure, and it's because of allegedly because of land records that have been changed without the people's knowledge, and other things that have happened without their knowledge, or things they didn't do, because what they want is they want the land, they want the property, they want what we have, and it's only happening in urban neighborhoods.
So I hear you saying to me, "Don't sell my house here in Sandtown."
Don't sell it. Don't sell it.
I get calls every single day.
Of course you do. All those nice Victorian homes and all those homes from the 1900s, brick houses, should I say. Brick houses are worth more money than anything with a vinyl siding on it, or plywood, or these houses that they throw up in all these places. Everybody think they got a nice, beautiful home because they moved to the county. Them brick homes is what they want.
So if you were in charge, what would you do?
First thing is I'll get the power centers and recreation centers viable again, because young people can thrive and be creative. They need some place to go, man. Keep them off the street. That's one of the first things that need to be done. You need to pay attention to the kids. That's the future, and people are not paying attention to the future. People are paying to the right now, and I think part of what has happened is social media has given people instant gratification, making people think that things are supposed to happen instantly. They need to go back to teaching young people how to grind and how to work and how to be self-sufficient and understand what's happening around them. They are not paying attention. First thing they do is stick their head in their phone while they're walking. They're not paying attention to what's happening around them. When Old Town Mall and all these places that when we were growing up were around, we could walk down the street, take a 10 cent, 15 cent, 25 cent, put in the phone, and dial anybody that we wanted to come outside and play, and you remember their number. You remember their number just because. These smartphones make us dumb now, because without the smartphone, you can't remember anybody's number. You gotta look at your phone, or hopefully the name pop up. If the name don't pop up, if somebody call you and you haven't programmed them in your phone, you thinking it's one of those robocalls.
So let me ask you, what would you do for the city of Baltimore, hypothetically, as it relates to business?
There's money. They shifting the money. They got to shift the money back to the urban community. There should be, just like there's a power plant, there should be an entertainment district. And they had planned one at one point when Smoke was in, then O'Malley was in, then Stephanie was in, and Sheila was in. They took it away. That entertainment district for us should be there. It was there when Billie Holiday was here. It was there when James Brown was coming through.
Somebody don't want this interview to happen. Well, there you have it, folks. We have shared with you breaking news right here on this network. The one and only Konan has suggested that he might run for office. So without further ado, we're going to end this show. It's 10:01. Hope you learned something. Today in Black History, I want to share with you one of my favorites, and that's Matthew Alexander Henson, first man to reach the North Pole. I've told you the story once. I'll tell you a million times because I went to Matthew Henson Elementary School, just like Nina and a whole bunch of Earl Lane and a bunch of other people out here. He couldn't get credit, though. He couldn't get credit for discovering the North Pole. The powers that be were pushing Admiral Robert Peary. But he fell off that miles back with frostbite. And it was a black man who discovered the North Pole. Happy Black History Month. Keep Valentine's Day simple. Don't stress. Don't stress it at all. Keep it simple. Donnie Glover, got one more comment before we clock out. There she go. Yes, the new bakery on Offutt, it is called Miss Lady's Bakery Cafe. I think somebody got it. They don't want this interview to happen. Why don't you just take a moment and say whatever you need to say before we get up out of here?
I would say for people to pay attention to the money, pay attention to what's happening in City Hall, and make sure that you plan your work and work your plan. 2023 is your year. If you want something, search within yourself and find it and go for it. You know, because everything you need is within you.
Oh yeah, what about the push-ups, man? You was like, come on, Don, you gotta get them push-ups in. How many push-ups? How many push-ups we gotta do?
You should do 200 a day. I mean, you should start with do 25 at a time. No, do them throughout the day. Do 25. Do 25. 25 and 25
in the studio while you on the air.
I do. I absolutely do. I knock out 50 to 100. I do them 25 at a time now.
Any Bitcoin tips?
No, but cryptocurrency and digital money is coming. If you go to your bank will absolutely tell you that they are going digital, but if you don't ask them, they will not tell you. So you got to make sure that you keep up on what's happening in the digital world, because the BRICS are going to change the game, and they are not playing with the Federal Reserve notes anymore. They're not playing with the monopoly money.
And the BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Yep.
Where the United States in there? Why are we not in the BRICS?
Because they're pushing the BRICS are pushing going back to a gold currency, and the U.S. is pushing to keep the Federal Reserve note in circulation. That's why they're printing more. They print more money than anybody can spend, but they are tired of having something that they cannot barter with, and the dollar is losing its value. So Gaddafi was getting ready to go to gold standard with
the
Africa.
dinar. Yeah, the one currency.
Right. And they didn't want to hear that. So now a group has come together to say, hey, this is going to be the new standard. You know, all postage stamps are backed by silver. That's why you should put stamps on stuff instead of letting them meter it. Use the stamps. Cost the same, but it's backed, and that's why they give you insurance on it. Once you put a stamp on it, it is guaranteed to be insured, basically, because it's backed by silver.
Where can we learn more about this political vision?
Just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. I mean, I'm gonna keep the thought process going. I mean, you got to think it through. You got to plan your work and work your plan. You just can't, jump out there and do it. You gotta strategically think about it, because once you open the door, they coming. They're gonna try to kick the door down, because they want to know everything after that. They want to know who your mother was, who your father was, where they went to school, who they messed with, if there was anything in it, if there's any skeletons in the closet, if you were a good person, if you was a good dad, if you was this, if you was that. Everything after that, everything is fair game for everybody. So you just gotta strategically think about it, and I'm consciously thinking about it, because change has to happen, man. There's two things that's guaranteed. My dad always told me. He said, change and death. Well, three things really: change, death, and bills. They all guaranteed. They coming no matter what. But we always have to keep changing the course. It's all about elevation, my brother.
Can't wait to learn more.
My man. I appreciate you, Donnie. It's all love, man.
Always, big brother. Always. Thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, sir. Have a great morning, all.